Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Osborne, and I am the coordinator for Fraternity and Sorority Life here at DePaul. And we are back with another episode of 90 Stories for 90 Years. This is our campaign throughout this entire academic year to share and celebrate the stories of fraternity and sorority life members, alumni, advisors, faculty and staff at the university, really anyone who's played a role in the success of the fraternity and sorority community over the past 90 years. So this year, or today, I guess, we have Madi with us. Madi, we're so excited to have you.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, we are going to go ahead and get started. Madi, if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling us what you're studying, your hometown, chapter affiliation, leadership, all of the fun things.
Okay, so I'm Madi. I'm in AOII. I'm a junior studying business administration. And I'm from Texas. I'm from the Woodlands, and I'm from Dallas, kind of all over. What else? I served as vice president of finance for AOII, and now I am the vice president of operations for PanHealth.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, what made you decide, or why did you decide to join a sorority at DePaul?
So I kind of always knew I wanted to be in a sorority, like growing up and like in high school and stuff. And then I did my freshman year at Purdue. I didn't want to go through recruitment there. I didn't want to live in a house. And it was like, a full like 3-weekend process to do their recruitment. I was like, that's not for me. And then I decided to transfer to DePaul for my sophomore year, and just the like setup of DePaul Greek life was just a bit better for me. It took a lot less time to do recruitment, and I liked that it was like everybody kind of does their own thing, and then it's like you come together and do Greek life together. It's just kind of another like club or like organization on campus.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And so you obviously told us why you decided to join a sorority, and then like what that process kind of was like for you. So why do you continue to stay active in the fraternity and sorority community and continue to take leadership positions and stay involved in AOII?
So I've met all of my best friends through Greek life, whether they're in my chapter or in other sororities or fraternities. I have had a lot of good leadership experience. Vice president of finance taught me so much. I was an accounting major and a finance major. I've changed my major a lot. And it taught me so much about that. So I'm like so grateful to have that like professional experience. And I just kind of stay in because it's like a great way to like talk to new people. Like you go up to someone and find out they're in Greek life, and you immediately have like a connection with them.
Absolutely. I think that was probably one of my favorite parts in college too, is just like that inner community connectedness that you find amongst the fraternity and sorority community members, and everyone's so welcoming whenever new members come into the community, and really across councils. And so I totally understand that that connection and wanting to stay. So you mentioned a little bit about your connection with finance and learning in your position. What other lessons have you learned from being a member of your organization?
I think being on the Leaders Council as a new member, I learned so much about like working with other people. I haven't had like a lot of, well, I had an internship, but I haven't had like a lot of like job experience and stuff. And I think AOPI has been a really good step into like learning how to work with others in like a business organization.
Yeah, for sure. That's such an integral part of the fraternity and sorority experience, is you really get that pre-professional career experience in kind of a safer environment with a little bit of a safety net, right? Like where, like if you screw up or something goes wrong or you make a mistake, you still have the opportunity to learn and grow. And it's not like a job dependent environment and things like that. I think that's kind of similarly whenever I was in college. One of my favorite parts of the sorority experience was that I really gained a lot of leadership skills and a lot of professional skills that I like wouldn't have had if it weren't for being a member of a sorority.
Exactly. This has been something that I can put on my LinkedIn and on my resume and like talk about in different interviews. And it's really like been beneficial in like professional development.
Yeah, for sure. So who is a mentor or an advisor that you feel like has made an impact on your experience? And tell us a little bit about why that is.
I feel like I have a couple. It's kind of hard to pick. My chapter advisor, Zoe, has been so helpful. And my finance advisor, Stephanie, like navigating COVID as the finance person was a huge challenge. And having them to support me, I would FaceTime them and like try to figure out how to navigate this time. And they were so helpful throughout the whole thing. I honestly couldn't have done it without them. So
that's so wonderful to hear. And I love when our students talk about the support that their advisors have given. And this has been, I tell people all the time, like I could not imagine being a college student leader right now or putting myself in your all shoes. Like there's just so much uncertainty to navigate, and especially financial uncertainty and knowing how COVID has impacted our members, our national organizations, really like transitioning our budgets and things like that. So high five to you for navigating all that. And I appreciate that you shared that your advisors were really helpful in helping navigate that experience too.
Yeah, it's definitely been a fun time.
A fun time. We'll call it that, right?
Yeah.
So what has being a member of a sorority taught you about philanthropy and community service? We know that that's such a huge part of the fraternity and sorority experience. And I always love hearing college students talk about, you know, that connection to philanthropy and community service. So tell me a little bit about what AOPI has taught you about that.
Yeah, so that's another reason why I wanted to join a sorority. I kind of forgot to mention that earlier. But we are the Arthritis Foundation is our philanthropy. I didn't really have a huge connection to like arthritis or anything. I mean, like that's just not something that I like have a personal connection to. Mm-hmm. But my sister, my twin sister, is also in AOPI. She was the philanthropy chair. So I got to see how to run an event like that and work on fundraising efforts. We had a really successful event in the spring, or I guess it was in the winter, right before we had to leave for COVID. And it was one of our like highest fundraising amounts for like ever at DePaul, I think. So that was really fun to see like her put together that event and like help her and like support her whatever she needed for that. And yeah, I mean, I didn't get to do a lot of philanthropy stuff before we left, but that was a fun event to see put into place and help her with that.
Yeah, for sure. And some philanthropy events are large scale programming. Like that's a pretty large event, and many people don't have that opportunity to experience the planning aspects of that. So I can definitely see how that could be like such a cool experience to kind of learn through the steps that it takes to, you know, fundraise, especially like large amounts, and even for a cause that you may not be personally particularly close to, but you know impacts a lot of people, and that is, you know, something that's near and dear to AOPI's heart. So I see that. Yeah. So what is your favorite value of your organization, and tell me a little bit about why?
Okay, I would probably say out of the four, I'm gonna go with character. I think that AOPI really values people's differences, and I think it brings like we bring together a lot of different personalities, but we all come together and have like a common interest at AOPI, and I think it brings a really like diverse and like interesting group of people. That's been a really fun group to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, this is our final question for today, but if you don't mind, maybe sharing what your favorite memory of being a member of AOPI has been so far.
My favorite memory, I had 2 quarters in person. So I would probably say getting my big. Her name is Remy, so shout out to Remy. She has become my best friend over the course of the last like year and a half. I got her as my big in October. And then, you know, we've had a lot of fun over COVID, just like our quarantine, just like FaceTiming and stuff. And we had an internship together over the summer. So that was really fun. But yeah, I would say getting my big and being a part of my family has been the best memory.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's so, I don't think that I realized or knew, maybe I did know, but didn't realize that you had only been in the organization for like a handful of months before we kind of went virtual. So thanks for sticking through the virtual times and for sharing your story about that too. And shout out to Remy for, helping you hang on and make it through those kind of like weird start to sorority experience. I can imagine.
Yeah, I think I was initiated in October of 2019, and then we left in March of 2020. So it was a short time, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, and you said that you all are still FaceTiming, and I know that AOPI is still doing things, even though we're virtual, and still, helping you all keep you all tethered to that sisterhood and things like that. So I think Tina Van Steenbergen, who's a speaker, kind of said it best. She said that like sisterhood isn't over, it's just different. And I think that kind of speaks to your and Remy's experiences as big and little. Obviously,
sure.
Still have that connection, but just looks a little bit different than it did maybe in October.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Well, Maddie, thank you so much for hopping on today and talking with us. We really appreciate it. I love hearing students' stories and experiences from the fraternity and sorority experience. So thank you again so much for sharing with us today.
Of course, it was so good to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks again also to everyone who watches our 90 Stories for 90 Years series. We will have more interviews throughout the rest of this academic year, so make sure that you check back in weekly. But that is all we have for today, so I will see you all later. Bye.
Bye.